company is Authentic Insights, but before we get to that, a little bit about me is I am a small town Iowa girl, born and raised. My background, other than picking melons for about 8 years when I was younger, shagging shingles for my dad for his roofing company. But both of those companies were actually started by men in my family. So I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. So I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring and try it as well. The company is called Authentic Insights because that's the name that my partner and I had started with. And our background was in corporate training. So authentic because one of my number one values is just honesty, right? Being genuine, showing up as who you are as a person. And then insights because opinions and feedback are a little strong, so potentially insights, right? And then you might notice that the logo in the background is a phoenix. A lot of times people see it's a bird, maybe guess that it's an eagle, but it is a phoenix. So it's a signal or a symbol of rebirth, transformation, and change. So as I mentioned, my background is in corporate training. So I'm a certified trainer, so corporate training. And then I'm a trained life coach. So trained because I'm in the process of becoming a certified life coach. And that's through the Journey Life Coaching Program. But my goal with my business is really to help motivated managers improve their communication, emotional intelligence, and conflict resolution skills to create high-performing teams. So leaders have a huge impact on the quality of life for their staff. And when I can help managers just improve all of those skills, whether it's for themselves or within their team, the engagement levels go up, morale goes up, and then their productivity goes up as well. I've worked with over 50 teams. I've seen the impact that these skills can have, especially conflict resolution. I'm pretty passionate about conflict resolution. No one likes to talk about conflict except for me. So in putting this presentation together, one of the things that was mentioned that it's good to hit on are lessons. And I'm newer to running a business, but I can tell you I've already learned a lot of lessons. And as a trainer, I feel like it's an authentic trainer. I feel like it's really useful to share that information with others, especially other people that might be considering starting a business. So this is a picture of my partner and I at the time when we signed our paperwork to begin our LLC. So one of the first lessons that I learned as a business owner is partnerships can fail. So we had worked together for quite some time. We knew we were passionate about training, but ultimately when the pandemic hit and the effects really started to come into play, she opted to go back to work. So partnerships fail. I'm big on self-development. I've taken a lot of different courses. You guys can see I've gone through certification processes, but being an entrepreneur has really been my greatest development journey so far. I've learned a lot about myself, about the business, more about social media than I ever thought I would want to know. I've also realized fairly quickly that I cannot do it alone. So I'm actually in the process of vetting out some virtual assistants as the speaking engagements start to book up. There are definitely some tasks in which I am not well suited that take a lot of patience, a lot of routine. It's something that I was hoping to lean on my partner for, but that hasn't panned out exactly the way I had planned. So I'm going a different route. I have the opportunity to learn. This is one of my passions, right? I can't be a great trainer unless I know the information that I'm getting is quality that I can in turn share with my clients, whether that's as a trainer or a coach. And I have learned a lot about different software programs, about, like I said, social media. I've really been able to absorb a lot of information through this journey. And one cool thing that I don't think people recognize is there has been support everywhere that I have looked. When I started creating my brand and I wanted to create awareness, there were at least 2 individuals who provided mentoring on social media for me. when I asked about finding my ideal client, there was a business coach, I think Heather might be on the call here, that has really helped me. And beyond that, I've also been given the opportunity to speak at a lot of different places, whether it was the ATD local chapter, or their nonprofit day, or their monthly meetings. Last night, I did some work with House of Hope. I spoke with U conferences, and then I've also done a presentation with SCORE. So it really sometimes had been a hard journey, but I haven't been alone. I've had a lot of support. I think the point that changed for me when business got a little less overwhelming has been really self-care, has been really paying attention to myself, making sure that I wasn't forcing any decisions. I know everyone approaches social media differently. I'm not a post every day because you have to kind of person. I want to make sure that when I'm showing up, it's authentic. So really paying attention to myself, making sure that I was doing things outside of business that were going to help me has really been helpful. And then investing in my own potential. So going through the life coaching certification process, I was a coach before, but learning from professionals about the science behind coaching has been really impactful. And that'll be something that I want to continue doing as I go through this journey of owning a business and giving back not only to my clients, but also to the community. So moving forward with my business, booking those speaking engagements will be big, investing in myself, the virtual assistant, as I mentioned. And then also sales is an area where I will be looking for some mentorship. I will be offering more conflict resolution workshops just to the general public. My coaching practice will truly launch in December after I'm officially certified. And then I also have hopes to write a book, whether it's about self-awareness, parenting, but there will be some humor wrapped up into that. Other than that, I'm really passionate about personal development, about helping teams. Teams have really complex relationships. A leader has a huge impact on how a team operates. So that's really where the focus of my work is moving forward, is with teams. But then I'll also offer one-on-one coaching, whether it's for the managers or the team members. I know that was really short, but I feel like I'm newer to the game than some of the folks you've had present. What questions do you guys have?
Go ahead and just chime in with questions.
Like Dale might have his hand raised.
Yeah, I'll jump in. This is cool. I love the lessons learned, and thank you for sharing your journey with us so far. I was wondering if you could describe, maybe in a little bit more detail, kind of who your target market is, the target audience. Like, you're providing these workshops about, sounds like, conflict resolution and things like that, and helping teams become stronger teams.
Yeah.
Tell us more about, like, teams where and what kinds of companies, like, how can we help you reach out to those kinds of clients?
Yeah, so typically I'm working with small businesses or small teams. I really feel like the sweet spot where you can create the ideal amount of collaboration is teams that are sized 8 to 12 team members.
Any particular industry or
My background is in finance. So I worked at a credit union for 11 years. So I'm really comfortable with the banking world. But other than that, no restrictions.
And then can you tell us a little bit more about your initiative to find, you said you were vetting some virtual assistants, I think, and that you're starting to bump up against not being able to do everything yourself. What are the problems that you're trying to solve there specifically? And maybe we can offer some insights on how to do that. Probably I'm not the only person here that's gotten a virtual assistant. So tell us more about that.
So there are a couple tasks that I've had on my list for quite some time, like adding testimonials to my website, or featuring the places where I have spoken at. When I have my website on Squarespace, it takes me forever. It is very frustrating for me. I'm just not maybe a design or IT savvy person. So those are small things that I'm kind of starting out with. eventually I would like my social media presence to be handled by someone else. So I'm kind of starting out with some trial projects, and then I might move to using a virtual assistant for more.
Oh,
later.
okay, cool. So you don't have a virtual assistant yet.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And are you, where are you planning to find this virtual assistant?
So I've gotten a few referrals for people in the local area, and their hourly rate seems reasonable. So I'm getting quotes for the work that they might do.
Uh-huh. You might want to look into Upwork.com. Have you used Upwork before, or are you familiar with
Heard
it?
about it. I've
Yeah.
heard about it, and I figured if I didn't find what I was looking for, potentially that would be a place as well.
Okay.
But I'd prefer to go local if at all possible.
You can even use Upwork to find local people, but
Yeah.
I find that it's a great resource for finding freelancers, and I've got lots of people working on my team that I've found via Upwork, and in some cases they stay on working through Upwork. In other cases, they've come on more as an independent contractor directly with me, and it's been great. But one thing that I've done also is that I have a gal on Upwork who she generates lead lists for me, and so I tell her these are the people I'm looking for in these areas, and then I pay her like $50, and she sends me this list.
Cool.
I don't spam those people. Like I don't just like email all those people right away to say like, hey, here's who I am, here's what I'm doing. But like for example, you could even do this. You could do it manually if you wanted to kind of go through with a fine tooth comb. But you can search on LinkedIn for like all of the like bank branch managers in Iowa, or something kind of like that, and then reach out to those people. If you get someone else to get you a list for you, in a lot of cases they can provide you just with the like in the list, it'll have like a link to their LinkedIn profiles. And so rather than having to go through and circumvent kind of the free features on LinkedIn, you can just go straight from your list to each LinkedIn profile and that person just tell them, hey, here's who I am. I'm Samantha. I have this team coaching package. It looks kind of like this. Here's some testimonials from some clients. If you want to reach out, or if you want to get in touch with me, here's my calendar link. And that way you can drum up some business in pretty short amount of time. So just some ideas there.
Yeah.
You can also chime in there and say that I know a lot of our entrepreneurs have had great luck going. Well, I know events are kind of hard to come by right now, networking, but don't be afraid to ask people for introductions to your target market. Being in the Iowa City area, like everybody is so willing to help each other out and wants to make that introduction to help a young startup. They love that. I love that. I mean, that's my job, and so if there's ever anybody that you're trying to meet, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
I make those introductions all day, every day. I work for our local chamber, the Iowa City Area Business Partnership, and so don't be afraid to network, find people, ask them like, who in your network can you connect me to? I feel like everybody's like a little bit afraid to ask for those things. And that is like the number one thing, is just get over that and just be like, hey, who can you connect me with? I would love to meet XYZ person.
Yeah, I would agree. I found that I asked for small things and people are really willing to help. Thank you.
Tom, did you have a question?
I did, but I think you got answered there.
I thought you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for presenting today. I actually had a lot of the same questions that Dale asked, and thank you so much for answering those. I think you did a great job. I'd like to know more about the sales mentorship. Are you looking for a mentor to help you through that process of getting your sales started?
Yes. So what I've found is the work that I've done so far, I'm proud of. I feel like I've gotten my bearings again with training, the coaching. I'm still absorbing the information, but really putting myself out there and making sure that I tie a dollar amount to what I'm offering, I think is a little bit of a hurdle for me at this point. I know the amount I would like to charge, but how to start doing that, I think, is a part that I could use some encouragement on.
Definitely. And as a local resource for entrepreneurs, since you are in the Iowa City area, I would invite you to, I'd love to set up a time for you to come into Merge downtown and meet with us. I work for the local economic development group, and part of our initiative at the Merge space is to support and offer resources for our local entrepreneurs. So I know Heather and Tom have been here before, so hopefully they'll have good things to say about us. And but I'd love to see what kind of connections we can get. I definitely have a couple of people in mind, although I think that Heather and Tom are they're fantastic resource for what you're doing. But I could get you some local mentors as well.
Yeah, Tom and Heather have been wonderful so far. Yeah.
What social media platforms do you look at, or do you see yourself using in the future? I know that your social media presence right now isn't great, or from what you said, I haven't looked.
I don't enjoy it as much. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I think I have around 300 followers on each. I know
Okay.
that's a bit of a long game to continue creating the content and to gain followers. So I'm doing that work. I'm just not enjoying that work as much.
Right. There is, and you want to be on, especially for who you're targeting, you definitely want to get that LinkedIn
Yeah.
profile beefed up on that as well.
Yeah.
And then there's an internship program. I don't know if Katie, I know she's on the call. I don't know if she's listening right now, but there's an internship program that the JPEC offers through the university that they will actually pay for you pay the intern and they pay the intern. So it's kind of like the quality of service you get. And there's a lot of people in the social media or digital marketing realm that could be very beneficial for you.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, I would say, kind of echo what Erin's saying, I would double down on your LinkedIn presence if you haven't already. From what you're kind of offering, I would say that's a better fit rather than Instagram. I think Instagram is also important, but if you're going to put your like efforts somewhere in particular, I think that would be good. Maybe doing like short little video clips of you talking about something as it relates to like managers, that kind of thing. Just kind of looking at like what you've been posting on Instagram, I think that would fit well on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, sorry to double dip here, but there's also a really cool template by a company in, I think, Switzerland called Strategizer, and it's called the Value Proposition Canvas. And so what it does, it kind of just has, on one sheet of paper, kind of part of the paper's got space for you to kind of write out who the customer is, what the jobs are they're trying to accomplish, and the pains that they have and the gains that they're trying to realize. And then on the other side is your value proposition. How do you create gains for them? How do you relieve pains for them? And what are you offering? And so that's been a really helpful tool for me, trying to kind of think through like, well, what's a really compelling value proposition for these customers? So if I'm the bank branch manager, what are the vexing problems? The pains that I have and the gains that I can't realize with anybody else except for Samantha Holmes. And kind of think through that and do some initial conversations and interviewing, formal or informal, and kind of get a feel for what makes them tick and what really would compel them to want to like buy your workshop. And then you can create the value proposition based upon how you address those specific pains and gains. That way, when you're talking to them, it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I need. I've really been looking for a workshop just like that one for my team.
Any other questions?
Networking is kind of limited right now, but have you been like strategically attending networking events or like getting involved in certain groups?
Yep. So I've applied or was nominated to be part of the ATD board recently. I will be joining Empower Her, the local group of female entrepreneurs. And then I've also offered to be part of like the U conferences planning committee. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice. I think one of our organizers here is involved with the U conferences. Yasmin Marrero, maybe you know her, so she could be a resource for that. She's not on right now, but a good person to connect with. Any other questions?
Go ahead,
Joe?
Joe.
Yeah. Is there a lower end to the size of the teams that you're willing to work with, or?
No, just 12 seems to be the max for true collaboration. When the team gets larger than that, it's really hard to have that true sense of camaraderie, I feel like. Those are the teams that I prefer to work with, is smaller teams.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I guess I could.
Now, would you be able, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
with the with 12, could you do kind of an executive or the C-suite executives? So train them on the group of 12 and then trickle down from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very possible.
My question, if you could pick 3 big things that you want to get done over the next 6 months to move your business forward, what would they be and why?
3 big things. Launch my online course, which I'm do that, start my book, and launch the coaching practice, the coaching piece of it.
And what do you feel like is the most important of those 3 to get done first?
The most important is probably the coaching piece. It's something I've really wanted to do for a long time. I've taken the time to invest in it. And I think that's where I can really help move people forward the quickest.
Nice. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think building up like your coaching and that kind of stuff first would be good too. Especially like if you want to write a book someday, it'd be good to like have people like into your kind of inspiration, and then that will be another layer to it. So
I just sent you a link to this hilarious woman that I was connected to with on how to write a book in 40 days. But she is fantastic. And I've got one friend going through the process right now. I'm going to probably jump on with her next thing, but she's out of Australia. She's hilarious. And who knows, maybe you could write your book in 40 days. And I think it's like $100. So it's not extremely expensive at all.
That's cool. I like to move quick. I don't know if I can move that quick, Erin. Very cool. I was just catching up on the chat. Yeah, I feel like starting the partnership, I feel like I've heard a lot of those stories. I was hoping we wouldn't be that statistic where I had failed. But yeah, I see that's pretty common. Cool.
Hey, Samantha, Ricardo here. Curious, thank you for coming. You mentioned self-care earlier, and as entrepreneurs here, I'm just curious if you could share some about that journey, especially with these pandemic times and stuff. Just curious what you're doing to stay motivated and doing that self-care.
Yeah. So I feel like the days where I was getting busier, or there was days where I was overwhelmed, I just wasn't being consistent with self-care. But one of the cool things about the coaching certification process is that we are conducting like peer coaching sessions. So there's a teammate of mine she calls herself the Profound Self-Care Coach. So that's the business that she'll be going into. And I had done a peer coaching session with her, and she said, hey, I know you're a business owner, I know you're a mom, I know you're busy, but what are you doing for self-care? And we talked about it a bit, and I basically said I was being inconsistent. And she told me about the 5-5-5 model, which is you just do 3 different things for 5 minutes every day, just consistently until you build that routine. And the cool thing about it for me was the flexibility of it. I didn't have to do the same 3 things every day. I could mix it up. I could read, I could meditate, do yoga one day. But then the next day it could just be 3 different activities. But as long as it was 5-5-5, 3 different things for 5 minutes each, I found myself doing it more consistently every morning. So I had some flexibility and a little bit of structure, and that seemed to work for me.
Are there any other questions? Don't be shy. If there's nothing else, I guess I can ask our our traditional 1MC final question, and I know you've answered this a little bit, but we always ask this at the end. What can we as the community do to help you?
First of all, I think today was very helpful. A lot of the resources that you guys had mentioned, and then kind of reinforcing some of the things I know I probably should be doing, like getting on LinkedIn. So today has been helpful. Other than that, if you know of any managers who are trying to build stronger teams, I am really passionate about it. I would love to help them. People spend a lot of time in the workplace, even though they might be working virtually, just as a way to reconnect the teams, reinvigorate, give them tools and resources so that their work life is improved. Anyone that comes to mind in that realm, I'd love to help them.
Very nice. And then your contact information. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website is authentic-insights.com.
Okay.
And then other than that, following me on Facebook, Instagram, and soon LinkedIn.